1,000 fans, the Bombers won a thriller by just 11 points. As Jim Wilson reports, the Crows had high hopes of advancing to their first ever grand final.
The calm before another Crow cyclone, and at around 7 o'clock this morning, the silence was broken. They returned in their thousands to ruin our dream of an all-Victorian grand final. And despite being a minority, the Crows' army of fanatics weren't shy when confronted by the red and black. Are you more subdued this week after last week's loss?
No. Last week's loss was a minor aberration.
We're really pleased. We've been accepted really nicely.
Do you think that might change at around about 5 o'clock tonight?
It could do.
Right. Last Sunday, the Bombers had to put up with the Eagles supporters, but this was worse for Essendon's loyal band of followers.
Oh, I have never met anyone more arrogant than that.
They're walking around like that.
Unbelievable.
At around midday, Essendon arrived at the ground hoping to qualify for its first grand final since 1990, and Paul Salmon was quietly confident.
I've said my prayers, and certainly someone up there's listening, which is good news, but it's another thing when you get out there. It's going to be a hot contest, I'm sure.
And as we reported last night, the Bombers weren't prepared to gamble on the fitness of Mark Harvey. The key defender was swamped by the club's faithful. Inside, police were getting their final briefing, while up in the stands, a camera surveillance system kept a close eye on trouble spots. It was standing room only as the stadium filled to near capacity. Well, what an atmosphere down here on the ground. It promised to be a terrific contest, and Drew Morford will bring you all the highlights of the game later in sport. Jim Wilson, 7 Nightly News.
And after the break...
Prior to the start, Gary Ablett collected his Coleman medal as leading goal kicker, but by quarter time he'd lost the lead. The football was the best of the finals. The run through the middle breathtaking. Calthorpe to Salmon. Brown snapped 2 goals in the space of a minute as both teams went on all-out attack.
Foot snap kick, a good one by Brown, a goal.
There was no sign of finals jitters from the Crows. Nigel Smart, brilliant at centre-half forward, shared it with Modra in a wonderful passage of play.
Modra, unselfishly, Smart will get the goal.
Michael Long accelerated out of the middle and the scores were level at 4-3 apiece. But Modra got going and had 2 before quarter time to pass Ablett for the season.
Chance for Modra. Kick it. He does. And he gets another goal.
The Crows kicked 6 unanswered goals on both sides of the break. Jarman to Modra. Modra again on his way to 5 first-half goals. But Sean Wren took the mark of the preliminary final, a screamer. When Anderson goaled against his former team just before half-time, the Crows had doubled Essendon's score for a 42-point lead. But the Bombers hauled themselves back in the third quarter, kicking 5 goals to 1, and the pace of the game never slackened.
Goes for it. 6.
Salmon kicked his 4th, and at one stage the margin was back to 11 points. A couple of free kicks by Buick, and the Bombers had levelled 5 minutes into the last term. Then a goal by O'Donnell put them in front for the first time since the first quarter. The clincher came from veteran Tim Watson in the last minute for a fairy tale victory by 11 points when all seemed lost at half-time.
I just sensed that during that third quarter we started to grab hold of them, and then we looked around at three-quarter time and they were all sitting down, and they just looked a bit tired. I think that gave us a little bit more confidence. We felt that we could run over in that last quarter.
And so next week it's going to be Carlton against Essendon at the MCG for the 1993 flag. The VSFL preliminary final was taken out today by North Melbourne.